Oh. So before I forget, I want to remind you that this Thursday, December 21st, at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, December 21st. I'm going to be hosting a free Zoom session where I discuss a little bit about my new book and how to apply some of the advice in it. My new book is called Money, Your Friend. And if you haven't already gotten your copy, the link to your Kindle copy for only 99 cents, or free if you have Kindle Unlimited, is below. The link to Money, Your Friend. And if you like this channel, you should get that book, because you're going to find some helpful information in it, I think, for sure. And yeah, the Zoom session on Thursday should be fun. I'm going to, go over some of the main themes in the book, and there will be time for some questions and answers at the end. I hope you join us for that. You have to be part of the mailing list. I'll put a link below to my mailing list so you can get the Zoom link for that on Thursday. I will send it out before the meeting. Today, I want to continue with kind of the recent series of videos we've been doing, discussing kind of like supplemental material that might interest you in regards to what Money Your Friend is talking about. Meaning that Money Your Friend is a I use a lot of psychological language in there. There's not a lot of spiritual language. Like, I'm not talking about manifesting left and right. It's a very straightforward book, I think, in the best sense, to help you feel better about money. But if you're into this channel, there's a good chance that you're interested in a lot of this supplemental information in regards to manifesting. And I thought I would read from today from one of my favorite manifesting teachers, period, especially when it comes to money. And that person is Richard Dotz. Richard Dotz, many of you know, is one of my favorite teachers when it comes to this LOA stuff. And he wrote probably my favorite book ever when it comes to manifesting advice in regards to money, called Banned Money Secrets. I made a whole video about that. I'll put a link above to that. A while back, was part of the Inner Supply series, where we talked about kind of like these manifesting and spiritual ideas in regards to money. I'll put a link above to the entire Inner Supply series as well. Definitely worth watching. Banned Money Secrets is one of my favorite books ever, if not my favorite book when it comes to manifestation advice in regards to money. Though I have to admit, Invisible Supply by Joel Goldsmith might outrank it now. But today I want to read from another one of my favorite Dotz books, Dissolve the Problem. We've read from this many a time, including recently. I just want to read what Richard says here, just one of the dozens of brilliant passages in this book. If you're into manifesting ideas, if you're into energetic principles and how that relates to money, and how you feel, your predominant feelings towards something you want to manifest, whether it be a relationship or better health or money, how that directly affects whether that manifestation comes into being. If you're into that stuff, you're going to like this passage, and you're going to like Dissolve the Problem by Richard Dotz if you've never read it. Just an amazing book. Anyway, Richard writes in Dissolve the Problem, he says, "You will notice that the problems which you have been fighting against the hardest are also the most persistent in your life. This is once again in line with these universal principles. When we work very hard to eradicate an issue from our lives, we are actually feeding more energy into the situation and perpetuating it. As such, there is a very fine line between removing a problem, and solidifying a problem. Most people think they are doing the former, when they are in fact doing the latter. It is two sides of the same coin. You cannot pick up a coin without picking up both sides of it at once. This is the reason why some problems seem so deeply entrenched in our lives. This distinction is very subtle and was the hardest concept for me to understand when I first started applying these universal principles in my own life. At that time, I perceived the lack of money as a major problem in my life. As a result, I did everything I could to rid myself of the problem. I attended seminars, read one book after another on making money, and even tried all kinds of metaphysical techniques to, quote unquote, attract financial abundance, with very little success. Of course, I also worried incessantly about the issue of financial lack, coming up with ways and means I could use to solve the problem. I estimate that I spent 90% of my waking hours embroiled in the negative emotions associated with not having enough money. To me, I was doing everything humanly possible to, quote unquote, solve the problem. Yet what I did was not moving me anywhere closer to the solution. It was instead bringing me further away from what I sought. By spending most of my waking hours worried about my financial situation, I was actually directing my energy to perpetuate more lack. My prevailing consciousness at that time prevented me from recognizing this fact. That's deep stuff. Richard's one of my favorite teachers, as I said. He just described so much of, the manifesting process and what screws us up. And we inadvertently, put a lot of negative energy into what we do not want a lot of the time by trying too hard to think of what we do want. Which is why things like forceful affirmations or robotically affirming, stuff like that, or trying hard to visualize a scene, or thinking about something all the time, the way RHJ was talking about even in that recent, in regards to It Works. That stuff can really easily backfire too. There's no one solution. And that's why anyone who says there's one solution, one way of doing this is wrong. Likewise, Richard's approach isn't going to work for everybody either. You got to find what works for you and experiment. But an underlying thing that's going on is, how do we feel about what we want? Irregardless of what approach we're taking. How do we feel about it? How do we energetically relate to it? If we feel good about what we want, chances are it's going to come into our life in some significant way. Relatively easily. But if we energetically want something, or if we want something but energetically feel nervous about it, feel like it's not going to happen, and actually think a lot more about how it's not happening, and feel very energetically unsettled or stressed out about it, it's much harder for that desire to come into our life easily or promptly. Worth paying attention to, especially when it comes to money. Because as I've talked about in these videos and as I talk about in the book, money's tricky. Very tricky. In our energetic relationship to it tends to get muddled relatively easily. Meaning we say we want more money. Most people want more money, right? But then energetically, we don't feel good about having more money, meaning we don't actually think we can get it, or we think we have to work hard to get it and we're not working hard enough, or that we have to do X, Y, and Z to get it and we're unable to do that, so it's going to be hard to get, etc. All these things energetically make us feel worse about money than we would like. And that's why my new book's called Money Your Friend, because it's about learning how to genuinely make it so you feel better energetically with money. In other words, how you become more friendly with it. So pick up a copy of the book if you don't already have it. Again, the link is below. And I hope to see you at the Zoom session if you want to join. Again, it's at 6:30 on Thursday, Eastern Time. And if you have any questions for me or would like coaching, I can be reached at radicalcounselor.com. Until next time.